Microsoft Excel includes a number of shortcuts, tips, and tricks to quickly manage the worksheets in a workbook. Hi, I'm Dawn. In this online training, let's explore handy time-saving techniques for managing Excel workbooks. These include navigating, inserting and deleting, renaming, moving, and copying worksheets, formatting, and grouping. Let's start with navigating. If your workbook has more worksheets than you can see at the bottom, click on the left or right navigation buttons or triangles that you'll find in the bottom left corner of the workbook. Once the worksheet that you want to move to becomes visible, simply click on the Worksheet tab to make that your active worksheet. Another way to use these options is to move to the right arrow and hold Control. When you click on this, the last sheet in the workbook will become visible, and then you can activate it. Or left-click while holding Control, and then the first sheet is visible. With over 1,000 worksheets possible in a Microsoft Excel workbook, what are some other ways to easily move between worksheets? Try these keyboard shortcuts to toggle or cycle between the worksheets. To go to the next worksheet, this is Control and the page down. To move to the previous worksheet, Control page up. And here's one of my favorite Excel shortcuts. To quickly navigate to any worksheet in an Excel workbook, right-click on either of the two triangle or arrow navigation buttons. This will display a pop-up dialog box of worksheet names. This is a fast and easy trick, and a big time saver, especially with large Excel projects. Simply select the worksheet you want to move to and OK. For easy worksheet management, right-click on any sheet tab to display a shortcut menu of worksheet options. This is a quick way to rename, delete, add, change colors, copy, and more. Although there are specific ribbon actions for each of these options, you'll likely find the shortcut menu to be much faster to use. What if you want to add a new worksheet to an active workbook? Well, there are 4 options to choose. One is to right-click on the Worksheet tab for that shortcut menu and then choose Insert. From here, make sure that Worksheet is highlighted and choose OK. On your keyboard, press Shift F11. Or you can click on the New Sheet button, the plus sign, that's on the far side of the Worksheet tabs. Notice as we add each one of these worksheets that they are consecutively numbered, picking up on the next available number. To insert a new worksheet from the ribbon, move to the Home tab, navigate to the Cells group, and from here choose Insert, Insert Sheet. To delete a selected worksheet, once again right-click on a Worksheet tab, choose Delete from the shortcut menu, and if any cells in the selected sheet have data in them, a warning message appears. A worksheet without data in it will not display the warning message. And then confirm. This is also found in the ribbon once again under the Home tab, in the Cells group, under Delete, and here select Delete Sheet. Use caution when deleting worksheets. The undo feature does not work with the Delete Sheet option. There are 3 ways to rename a worksheet in Excel. To rename from the ribbon, move to the Home tab, navigate to the Cells group, and choose the Format option. From here, you'll see a number of different workbook management options and worksheet formatting choices, and we'll choose from here, Rename the Sheet. This will activate the Worksheet tab. Simply enter in an edit or a new name for this. Remember, 2 worksheets in a single workbook cannot have the same exact name. We'll enter to accept the change. You'll probably find it's a lot faster to skip the ribbon altogether and simply move to the Worksheet tab. And from here, one option then would be to right-click, choose Rename. Or, even faster, move to the Worksheet tab, double-click. It's important to remember that worksheet names cannot be blank, contain more than 31 characters, contain any of the following punctuation symbols: the forward slash or backslash, question mark, asterisk, colon, or the open and closed square brackets. Also, although the apostrophe can be used in between text and numbers and a name, you cannot begin or end a worksheet name with the apostrophe. And a worksheet name cannot be named history. This is a reserved word that Excel uses internally. Most importantly, be descriptive, but keep the name short. In most cases, avoid all caps, which simply creates a longer or wider name. And when you have lots of worksheets with long names, it can be more difficult to maneuver from one to the next. When you are working with Excel workbooks with a large number of worksheets, it may be helpful to apply tab color to make it easier to visually locate key worksheets. To change the tab color for a selected worksheet, simply right-click on the Worksheet tab. From here, select the tab color. You could pick any of the displayed options or navigate to more colors. The active sheet is going to be shaded in white even when it's colored, but you'll see it as soon as you move off into another worksheet that may or may not have a color applied to it. Tab color is also found under the Format option in the Home tab of the ribbon. Would tab color be helpful for your Excel projects? One way I've seen this to be useful is for analysts who are reviewing or auditing worksheets. They add green to those worksheets that are completed and change the color to red for those that need further review. What about moving? To move a worksheet within the same workbook, simply move to that worksheet and click and drag. You'll see that the mouse pointer is simply a page. Then click and drag this to the right or left. You'll see that triangle or that position where you can simply drop this worksheet into place. You can also use the Move or Copy option, which we'll look at in more detail. How would you copy a worksheet with a format or content you want to use again? Maybe it's a quarterly or monthly layout you want to copy for the next time period. Well, I hope your answer isn't to copy and paste. If you've done this, you know that this choice does not give you an exact copy, and you'll waste tons of time trying to reformat columns and recreate other formatting. There is a much easier way. Let's look at how to copy a worksheet within the same workbook. First, we'll simply move to the tab or the worksheet that we want to copy. Now, similar to moving, we're going to drag, but this time we'll hold down the Control key. So hold Control, click and drag, and now notice that our pointer has a page, but with a plus. Next, simply move to where you want to position the copy. Let go of your mouse first, then the Control key. And now you have an exact copy. It has the worksheet name followed by 2 in parentheses. Now there isn't any linking that takes place between these two, but it has all the formatting, the content, the formulas. And then you can move forward to customize this for your purposes. Complete your copy command by renaming the worksheet. This is a huge time saver when we're managing our Excel workbooks. But what if you want to move or copy across workbooks? This is where we can work with our Move or Copy Sheet action. First of all, open a workbook where you want to move or copy the worksheet. Your other option is to move or copy to a new workbook. And you can also use this choice to move or copy within a single workbook. But as you've seen, there might be some little faster shortcuts for that. Then go to the workbook that has the worksheets you want to move or copy, and just click anywhere on that worksheet. Next, right-click and choose Move or Copy. You'll also find this action in the ribbon on the Home tab under the Format option, and there you will see Move or Copy Sheet. From here, select the workbook where you want to move or copy the selected sheets. In this case, I'll move it to a workbook that I already have open. Next, we would pick the location or position where we want to move that sheet. But even if we're moving, my recommendation to you is that you actually do a copy. So whether it's a move or a copy, always pick this option. Why? I like to confirm that that worksheet got to the destination workbook. Now, once I have it there and that file is saved, if my intention was to move it and not copy it, we can go back to the original workbook and delete the worksheet. We hate to run into any type of a glitch where we move the worksheet and the destination workbook doesn't get saved. From here, I'll choose OK. So now we confirm that we're actually now in this case, the large worksheet. It's good to know this technique does not create a link back to the original worksheet. One of the most frequent Excel questions I hear is some variation of, is there a way to add the same header and footer or page layout to more than one worksheet at the same time? The answer is yes, and it's easy, but the steps are not intuitive and not even covered in most Excel books or websites. The solution is to group worksheets by selecting multiple sheets in a workbook. You can use grouping to print a selection of sheets at the same time, to enter or edit data on several worksheets at once. Grouping is great to apply formatting, such as page setup options, to a selection of worksheets all at the same time. There's no need to repeat the same steps over and over again. And you can also use grouping to move, copy, or delete a selection of worksheets. So first, how do we group worksheets? One option is to click on the first sheet of what will be the group. Then hold down the Shift key and select the last of that group. In doing so, you'll see that they are all highlighted or activated. Another way for you to confirm this is to look up into the title bar. Here you will see the word group next to the workbook name. In earlier versions of Excel, group may display in square brackets. More recent versions will display as shown. Once you have worksheets grouped, then you can apply the same actions to each of those. Let's look at some other techniques for grouping. First of all, how do we ungroup? One way is to simply click on a worksheet that's not part of that group, and they will all be unselected. What's another technique? Well, you may not want to select a contiguous or touching group of sheets. For this, we click on one of the sheets and hold Control. Now you can select as many sheets as you want, even if they are not touching or right next to each other. Once again, group will display in the title bar. So this is something that we don't want to do right before we have a meeting to go to or at the end of the day, because when a workbook is grouped, that becomes saved. And if we forget about that, we could get ourselves into trouble. This can be a really helpful and time-saving feature, but you need to be working with it from beginning to end. Once again, I'll unselect. Now, another way to do that is to right-click on any one of these sheet tabs and choose Ungroup Sheets. So now I have a set of worksheets that I would like to apply changes to. Now, in this particular example, each of these sheets has a similar layout. That is, the same kind of content is at the top or in these column labels. So that's another factor when you are editing data, entering data, and applying formatting, is you want to be conscious and aware of whether or not some of these actions would even make sense. Just for demonstration purposes here, I will go ahead and change the background fill here. And let's say that I want to change this label. Now, because of the display here, I'll also select the entire row and apply wrap text. And maybe we also want to change the height of that row. And even the column width. Because they're grouped, understand that you are making these changes to every single one of these grouped or selected worksheets. And now let's look at the layout. So for instance, under page layout, our orientation is currently portrait, and we'll modify this to be landscape. We could further go in and change margins and apply other modifications to it. Let's go back to that question about header and footer. With these sheets selected, we'll choose Insert, Header and Footer. Now in this case, Excel will switch to the page layout view. If any of the worksheets has freeze panes enabled, you'll be prompted to turn off this feature and may end up working with the header and footer through the page layout dialog box. Here I'll add a header. This could be formatted just as you would if it was an individual worksheet that you're applying a header or footer to. And we'll move out of this view. Now I'll change back to the normal view, which is under the View tab and Normal. Now that I've completed these actions, what I want to do is to make sure that I no longer have these sheets grouped. We saw that there's several ways that we could change this. I'll come back down to the Worksheet tab and right-click, and here I can pick Ungroup Sheets, but I also want you to see too that if it makes sense for your particular workbook, you could select all the sheets from this option rather than just individual ones. So we'll ungroup and confirm that we no longer see group in our title bar. Let's see how successful we were with these changes. To view my results, I'll move into Print Preview. But before I do that, I'm going to once again select a set of worksheets and group them. So either File Print, or in this case, Control P, and we can see the formatting here, and we have our heading as well. Using my navigation in the preview, we can then move through this. So there are a couple quick things here. One is, in our printing, we have print active sheets. Now, this is typically going to be an individual sheet, but with grouping, then we can make print active sheets refer to whatever happens to be grouped. So that could be a set of 2 or 3 different worksheets. With them grouped, I noticed that one of the things I didn't catch in the layout is that this worksheet data is going between 2 different pages. So I'm going to change the margins and make them narrow. Now that should fix it for me. And sure enough, now I have more success here where I'm able to fit all of the data within Worksheet. So you can apply the available options that you see here and it will change what is grouped. Notice then, as we go through here, each one of these has that formatting, change the content, and that header change. If we look at one of the other worksheets that wasn't part of the group, you can see that we can be very specific about how we want to use the grouping feature to apply formatting and editing changes to our worksheets. Before you move on to your next Excel action, make sure to check that workbook title bar to verify your worksheets are no longer grouped, and then you can continue working with each worksheet individually. Try these time-saving tips and techniques to be more productive managing your Microsoft Excel workbooks. Thanks for watching.